give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, no, this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Yeah. There's no mercy in this world, just hunger-thirsty persons in different versions, each new update, that shit works.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? So, obviously, thought I'd actually do a little bit of something. I'm going to have my buddy Further AM a little bit coming in as well. I just got to talk about a few things. But I will admit before we get into it, if you guys are new, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and definitely share the content. But with that being said, the one thing I will take away for this, I think this is one of the better Super Bowls that I've seen in quite some time, because if you think about it, like if you looked at the recent Super Bowls that's kind of been around for a little bit, that's not. But yeah, it's just been tough. What's good, Lady Kenzie? Yo, what? Yeah, we pretty much shot ourselves in the foot, basically. But in other words, it's just for me how. Look, the one thing I will say. Look, the better team won. Plain and simple. But it's just for me how, one call... first of all, it's been, I would say, mostly a clean game for most, but been pretty good. It's getting to the point where, it's kind of really hard to understand, where, how this really team performed. We just... look... like I said, it is what it is, Arku. I really do. But the one thing I will say that and people say, "Oh, you got to blame the players." When you be surprised, it all comes down to coaching. It's simple as that. But I will say this: I will admit this too. The fact that they say, "Oh, he's," Mahomes is top 5. First of all, Mahomes is a top 2. I don't know where you're going to think because let's be real. I think he's better than Burrow. I think he's definitely better than Josh Allen. I think let's be real. Exactly. It is what it is. There's no if ands, or buts about it. Good Lord. Because I really kind of hate that using that phrase, but bear with me on that. But like I said, thought it was a really good Super Bowl. I really do think it really was. It just in terms of the competitiveness. But I will say Gannon at times, it's like the fact is, I'm thinking myself, after we lost the Super Bowl, I'm thinking myself, how the hell does anyone even want Gannon as a head coaching job? Or how does even, Jonathan Gannon even just should be considered to be a head coaching candidate? But for me, I just really, the fact that the Texans want to take him. Because I will admit this, our defensive coordinators, has not really been. I think after Jim Johnson, God rest that man's soul, our defensive coordinator position hasn't really been in terms of the best, except, just of how everything has gone on. Now, if Jim Johnson were still alive today with this kind of defense, I think he'd be more aggressive and start implementing what he used to run. Yeah, and I'm one of those people to say, good riddance, because and speaking of Feather AM, what's good?
Yo, man, what's up, man?
Yeah, but yeah, it's I would. I wouldn't say all Philly losses. The only team that are a bunch of losers is the Flyers and the Sixers, and I'm really putting that on record. Like, it's nothing new. But it's funny because it's like, no, let me ask you this: if Jim Johnson were still alive, would this change any different? Because I feel like after Jim Johnson passed away, or after we moved on from Jim Johnson, our defense coordinator spot hasn't really been the same since then. Now, I know they're probably going to say, Buddy Ryan, for example, the older ones, but I want to get you on that.
Are you talking about Jim Schwartz?
No, if Jim Johnson was still around,
Oh,
because with this,
that's a whole different.
that's a whole.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm very. I will say, I'm very sold on Jalen Hurts. I thought he really balled up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he made a mistake. He dropped the ball, caused a touchdown. That's a huge mistake right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That really almost cost us the game. I hate to say it, but
I think that really was the downfall of that.
That was. I mean, that's huge. That's a 7 points free right there because he dropped the ball. No one even touched him. He dropped it. I mean, you can also blame a lot of different things. Special teams giving up that huge run all the way to the 5
special teams
line
is
of our side.
Howie's got to fix that up. I'm sorry, but that special teams, Howie's got to have to fix that up. No, Boston Scott's a kick returner. I'm not opposed with, because I think he actually does pretty well. I actually think Scott has done well as a kick returner. But at least give Greg. First of all, I would say give Greg Ward a shot to do a punt returner, because Britton Covey ain't fucking it for me. And if I'm not mistaken, too, Britton Covey also had some hype around him too at one point. And that's true. And that's good. And exactly, Butterfly. Defense gave it away. Exactly.
It wasn't defense gave it away. I really believe it was the coaching gave it away. The coach, we saw the first half, we got to Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
And someone trying to tell me that Mahomes was acting when we injured him and he was limping off the field, I don't believe that. I think we seriously got to Mahomes and we battered him up a little bit. But what was surprising is immediately in that second half, we didn't come out the same way. We went into this zone coverage. We stopped putting pressure. We didn't allow Reddick to get in there. We weren't getting to Mahomes anymore. It was a lot less putting pressure. It's like we backed off and we started playing this more coverage because I guess Gannon felt that we were not being able to contain Kelsey. Because you do remember in the first half, Kelsey was a problem.
Yeah, Kelsey was a problem.
He was a problem. And you can blame our linebackers, especially Edward, for not being there.
And that's just one thing we have a hard time addressing was the pass defense.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, we cannot get that right. It's crazy. But I will say, as much as I want to troll Coles, but Coles kind of did bring up a good point that the NFL paid over $800,000 to use the stadium, and AK brought up a good point. Like, you had all this time, 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, and not test out the field conditions.
Well, 1 week, 1 week, because
1 week,
but they show. I'm sure they have scouts already there and stuff.
It's like, look, I know as crazy as it sounds, but if you don't have really good and not just us, look at Kansas City. They had a hard time getting, especially Pacheco had issues with the turf. It's like, but I will admit, though, I think this is one of the better competitive Super Bowls that I've seen in the last 5 years, 10 years. I could be wrong. It'd be one up there because, I mean, we've seen some Super Bowls where, in terms of quality, let's be real, not been the best. Super Bowl 53 in particular, because yeah, that's what exactly Eagle thing. That's exactly what we're saying. The turf was terrible.
Oh
Not
yeah,
just,
it was. I mean, you saw the kicker on the kickoff return.
and I'm surprised Jake Elliott didn't even roll an ankle on the turf.
Yeah, AJ Brown fell to the ground. No one touched him. No one even touched him. AJ Brown catches a pass, turns around, and just falls to the ground. And that's the whole
like that surface, especially at the link. He's already off and running.
And you're looking at they're showing after the halftime show because I guess they had the stages or whatever down on the field. And they put holes onto the field and they had crews trying to put out the divots, the holes.
Oh yeah,
in the thing. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not just dangerous for my team. That's dangerous for Kansas. Any of those players are a liability out there. What if you're a running back and you just managed to put your foot in there and give it a nice good old kink and there goes your knee?
And that's a good point, too. Even after concerts, like, they fuck up the turf even more. But I will say, look, it's a nice... Look, don't get me wrong, State Farm Stadium is a really nice facility. I think it's a really nice stadium. But you have to do better with the turf. I really do think that, because if you looked at the link...
For a Super Bowl, especially, what blows
Because, first of all, like, what happens if you tear an... Because, first of all, you're putting your own... Yeah, yes, and we know... there's been issues with artificial turf, but turf like that, like, you could have had it at least tested a little bit more before the Super Bowl started to make sure it's in right conditions. Because if not, like, if I'm the NFL, because first of all, the NFL needs to, I would say, find a different, neutral site. It's, But like I said, what are we going to do? We shot ourselves in the foot. It is what it is. Like, I mean, it's kind of really... But I will say, the fact that even Shane Steichen even... Now, Steichen, I will nitpick with, with the damn screen passes. Because, number one, like, that's... I don't know.
And they were doing the same plays.
Oh, first of all, like...
Both those touchdowns, wide open, same play. Anyone notice that?
Yeah.
Same play, wide open. No problem. No one even close. Because why? Why are we playing zone coverage all of a sudden? Why are we
exactly? You can do like... But yeah, it's... But I will say, at the end of the day, look, it is what it is. I think most of us...
Oh, I mean, the Chiefs played better. Andy Reid came out second half, found a way to win.
But I will say, the best move that I've seen so far after the game was the Kelsey brothers. Look,
that was fun.
That was the best moment I've seen out of that. But I will say, I think Andy, like, people need to understand.
Were you in the beginning of the game like me, where why the fuck was Doug Williams there?
No, I was not.
I was like, why that? Like the quarterback, backup quarterback that won for the Redskins, the very first.
I think that was him.
It was Doug Williams.
See, I wouldn't know because, like I said, I'm a young dude. I was born in 1997.
I'm born in the 80s. So I'm sitting there going, Doug Williams is like the epitome of Nick Foles. He didn't even play a full season. He just filled in for a Super Bowl and happened to have an awesome team like the Eagles in 2017 and won a Super Bowl. Why they even have Doug Williams out there? I was like, what the hell? Then they got Michael Vick. They're interviewing Michael Vick before the show. And I'm like, dude.
First of all, Michael Vick has not seen a Super Bowl at all.
Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Like,
they're making an overhyped deal that this is like some big thing. And it
really
it was a good game, though. I have to say, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That kept us. Let's say if you weren't an Eagles fan, you weren't a Chiefs fan, you were watching this game, I'm sure you were getting thrills. It was
exactly like it's been because first of all, if you looked at the Super Bowl the last 5-10 years, like we've never seen like this back and forth.
Man, I got to get going though. I'm sorry, man. I got to get going.
All right, good. You too, man. All right, man. Absolutely, and but like I said, at the end of the day, like me and Further said, it was a good game, regardless of what people think, and then I will say. Like I said, the last 5 to 10 years in terms of the Super Bowl competitiveness, well, it's been, if you could definitely make the argument that Super Bowl 52 has been competitive as well, but most of the time has But like outside of Super Bowl 52, when have we ever seen a Super Bowl not be one-sided? Because we've seen, and if you look at the history of the Super Bowl, some of the scores have been very one-sided. I mean, look, 52 competitive. Came down to a last-minute Hail Mary. Now, granted, it was 41-33, but still, it was an 8-point margin of victory. This was only by a field goal. Exactly, and this is not the typical Patrick Mahomes. It was, like I said, I agree. I do agree. It is what it is. Like I said, I can't really be too upset about it. But at the end of the day, look, we just got to take the L and move on. And if you're a baseball fan, yeah, we're looking for baseball and stuff like that. But like I said, outside of that, it is crazy too. Like I said, going back to what I said about the turf conditions. Yeah, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong, my guy. Oh, no, not well, legendary and talented. I wouldn't go that far. As much as I want the Sixers, but I can't. See, this is the thing. I know this is kind of irrelevant. Speaking of the Sixers a little bit. Actually, you know what? Since we kind of did talk about it a little bit. Yeah, exactly. And that's the one thing that punt return took everything out of that win. It was basically in the way, if I'm going to compare it to the way how we've seen certain plays, not just in football, hell, even in baseball in the World Series, when we got no hit, that took everything out of us. But I will say this, as I've seen people say on social media, you want to pray for like the Sixers and whatnot. It's like, on one hand, I want to say yes, but there's another hand. There's another thing in my right that's telling me I can't trust the Sixers, and one for a specific reason. It's Doc goddamn Rivers. For the love of God, like I can't trust Rivers with this team. Now, I will say you can also make the same argument with Morey. Because if you look this past all season, Morey was trying to rebuild this team into what the 2017 Rockets were. And is obviously not paying off. It's like, look, Harden's still doing his thing. I think he's actually had a pretty good season. But at the end of the day, we're still a second-run active, no matter how you look at it. And maybe the people say pray for the Flyers. First of all, the Flyers are absolute fucking trash. First of all, we got torched by the fucking Seattle Kraken, who, I think this is, year 2 since being another expansion team? I could be wrong. But having probably the best season that Kraken team is having. But in the end, though, I will say, I'm excited for Phillies baseball for sure. I'm excited to see what this team actually has to offer. Not just of what we've done. It's like, honestly, Daniel, I disagree wholeheartedly. First of all, the Thunder spoiled, I would say, with LeBron breaking the all-time scoring record. And if that's just how I looked at it. Exactly. Just keep hating. Because, first of all, this is what people need to understand. Now, granted, every time I see Isaiah Joe kind of just killing it for the Thunder, it pisses me off. Because, I get it, he's trolling, but take it from me. Every time when I see the Thunder, especially Isaiah Joe, kind of shoot tremendously with the Thunder, it really pisses me off to no avail. The fact that Daryl Morey decides to cut him, and fucking Charles Bassey's kind of balling out with the San Antonio Spurs. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, this team, even speaking with the Sixers, though, kind of standing around and kind of talking a little bit more. But like I said, like the Sixers overall as a franchise, it's been nothing but mediocre. And the way that I say it is like, because every time we do really well in the regular season, when it comes to the postseason, we just completely shut off. No ifs or buts about it. And we suck at developing players. Hey, you too, Earl. I really do. I mean, look, first of all, they got draft picks for fucking days for the next 5 to 10 years. If one guy doesn't pan out, you got a bunch of backup plans. And that's why I think I've always had tremendous respect for the Thunder. Now, it would have been nice to see him actually win something when he still had a prime Harden, Westbrook, KD, for crying out loud. Like, that's just my thing, though. But in the end, though, I think looking at it, it's just like people need to understand too. Like you have a team like the Thunder, after that 2012 run with their big three, who I thought at the time, actually had really good seasons under them. Harden, Westbrook, KD, and I think a couple other role players I can think of at the top of my head. But ever since when they blew up that team, it's exactly there was no exactly you got organization, well, in that franchise. But for me, when I'm looking at this, when I did the Lakers and Thunder, not that long ago, when I look at how there's some stability and good chemistry, I'm thinking to myself, where can I'm thinking I'm getting really, and this is what pisses me off about the Sixers because of that. Exactly. I wish, but it's most likely it's going to go back to Jokic. But I think another guy you could definitely make the argument for to be the MVP. Look, as much as I want to see, I want to see Embiid win the MVP. But then again, the national media hates Philly. Let's keep it a buck here. Like this, that's like it's been nothing new. Short that. Oh God, how am I going to put this expression? But yeah, it's just, and I love Embiid to death. And I mean, I have his jersey hanging up on the. It's going to get to the point when I'm looking at some of these other teams. Yeah, may not be in playoff contention, but I mean, could make a run for the play in, like say the Oklahoma City Thunder. It annoys me to want to see Isaiah Joe killing it with the I would say just pretty much killing it with the Thunder. Charles Bassey, like I said, with the Spurs. I don't think he was even with the Spurs, but I could be wrong. But regardless, it's gonna get to the point where I'm really starting to question if the Sixers do care. Because to be quite honest, I really don't think they care. I know it's ironic to say as a diehard Sixers fan that I've been around. I've been a fan since the AI days. But you have to think of this too, like the trusted processor. I think most of us tend to forget about that because holy crap, that was just. They're not that far off, Arco. I will say the Thunder are not that far off. I say give them about 2 years. I think that time frame. But I would not be surprised. Yeah, you are. Well, I would say lucky, but you deserve it. You deserve it more than we do. Even though, yes, you're in the Western Conference, we're in the Eastern Conference, and look at the teams. Look, you may not have a big household name outside SGA, but it's just to the point where it makes me jealous as a Sixers fan. I can see that, but don't be surprised if somehow the Thunder is somehow make a run for the play-in tournament. And I'm going to say that right now. I do think that, but for me, it makes me jealous to the point where I'm thinking it's like, where the hell can we get, a coach? Exactly. You got expectations for a rise. Number two, you have guys that are really got some really good chemistry. And, you got a coach that's, knows how to actually use the right players and actually give minutes to certain players that, has done really well for them. And to be quite honest, it's really working out with the Thunder. Now, granted, I know the record says otherwise compared to us and the Thunder. But if you really think of this too, like say if Embiid was with the Thunder, I think that and I think I know this kind of sounds outlandish, but put this in hypothetical reasons. Like say if the Thunder, or say we didn't draft Embiid, say like the Thunder, got an opportunity to work with and develop with Embiid, or take Embiid at this point of his career. I really do think exactly. Us like we use an all bench rotation. I think, and then to be quite honest, exactly something that we will never see because, like I said, Doc Rivers wants to use guys that, let's be real, do not deserve it. Montrezl hasn't really shown much to be desired, for lack of a better term. But it's just it's sad. It really is sad. But like I said, am I would I be upset if the Sixers be second round exits? To be honest, no. And the reason why I say that is because we've seen this time and time again. Like say, if we won like 50 plus games of the regular season, but like I said, when we get to the postseason, we somehow just wet the bed for God knows what reason. And, it's going to get to the point where it's like, when's enough enough? Because we have not seen the Eastern Conference Finals since 2001 and have not won it all since 1983. Now, the Flyers, that's a whole different situation in its entirety. And speaking with the Flyers, I said this time too, and I think I did some tweet replies too. This team's been very hit and miss with the Flyers, and the reason why I say that because after 2010, and I will admit it, we blew a 3-1 lead to the Chicago Blackhawks when we still had a prime Kane, Toes, and I think a few others. But regardless, we haven't really been the same since, let's be real, since 2010. Even that bubble year, I saw that was still kind of a fraudulent year. Due to outside circumstances, you can make the argument for that as well. We could have, if, we didn't trade him to the goddamn Suns and drafted Zaire Smith. And speaking of that, that's where another issue lies with the Sixers. They can't draft for shit. Like, we cannot draft worth a fucking damn. Because think about it, we cannot keep homegrown talent. Not just in the organization, but, that is from close to the Philadelphia area. We could add Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. Unfortunately, Archie Diacono's kind of flopping, but it's kind of sad because I've always been a huge fan of Ryan Arcidiacono. Chris Jenkins, I think he's pretty much killing it overseas, but it sucks. It sucks being a fan of a team that's been mediocre for years. No matter how much talent they bring in, or they do like a bit of a revamp, we always constantly somehow find a way to screw it up. Like, I'm just being brutally honest. Like, the fact we're close to winning 40 games, and we would get to the postseason. Like, if you looked at some of our schedule, that's a good point. That's a good point. Actually, that's a very good question, Arku. Ryan. I know his brother's been killing it at Nova, even though Nova, well, that's a whole. Right now, Archie Diacono right now is with the Portland Trail Blazers. But he's been kind of flopping. He's really not had as much of a success as I would say a Mikal Bridges or who else came out on Nova? Dante DiVincenzo actually exactly. That's what I'm saying. The dude's been flopping so much. He's been on so many different teams. It's sad because I thought he was. If you looked at that 2016 that March Madness Final Four or the national title game, let's be real, probably one of the greatest assists in that as well. If you think about it, he's been with the Austin Spurs, which is the G League, then went to the Bulls in 2017, spent 4 seasons with them, probably hardly done jack squat, then goes to their G League, to the Windy City Bulls, then goes to the main Celtics, yada, 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 then goes with the Knicks, and right now he is with the Portland Trail Blazers. And you're telling me that this dude's as a NCAA champion, but then again, some players, I've always said, I think there's some players that are not cut out for professional sports. I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, definitely, man. He's just been, to be quite honest, I don't know what to say. I really don't. Because how do you come from a program like Nova, who's, yeah, that's right, I forgot. Honestly, I do kind of miss homie, though. Dario Saric, man, for the longest time, since he's with the Sixers, though, he was a very good player for us. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but it would have been nice. Oh, I get it. I mean, I get it tremendously. But like I said, it's sometimes being a Philly sports fan, it's 50-50 when you look at it. And, and like I said, no matter how much success we have, we're always going to get hated regardless. And it's like, nothing's going to change, and I will admit that the fact that some people still hang off us bullying Santa Claus over our heads, but that was in their late 50s before my grandparents were even fucking born. I remember when we threw snowballs at people. I think that was 2003 or 2004. Could be wrong. And it's just it sucks. We have to live with it. It is what it is. I mean, hell, if you look at the old Veterans Stadium for as people. Exactly. That's the thing too. Like I don't get it. Look, I get it where the Thunder stand, but people need to realize where the future is bright in Oklahoma City. I really do. It's just and Arco. You have to take it. You got to look at it from my perspective too, as a longtime Philly sports fan for years. I mean, I've seen the Sixers being complete trash during the trust the process. Now, granted, I will say I think we did fuck up with the Ben Simmons pick. First of all, I fucking hated it regardless. And it's like I'm just it's like no matter how much success we even have and Dan, you got to think this too. You got to think go back. You got to go back further. Exactly in Seattle, but you have to take this into consideration at the time, that actually. But you have to think this too. The Thunder is pretty much the rebrand of the Seattle Supersonics. I think a lot of people tend to forget that the used to have yeah, exactly. No one really cares about for small market teams, but hey, think of this too. People freaking shit on Portland. Well, mostly anything we live, and that is not actually. You're not wrong, RQ. I remember some really good years of the Oklahoma City Thunder when they actually had Harden in his early years. He still had KD at the top of his game. Same with Russell Westbrook was actually at the top of his game at one point. And actually, now that I think about it, let's kind of look at the that was at the 2012. See, look at that roster. So now that's what I'm interested in. See, who'd you guys? Oh, that's Reggie Jackson. I forgot even the let's see, Serge Ibaka. I forgot about Serge Ibaka. Yeah, that's been the biggest talking point with the NBA. I think they have to somehow find a way to revive the Seattle Supersonics. I really do. I really did like the uniforms though. I mean, think about it. Kevin Durant actually still at the top of his game, even though may not be as what he once was, but still a scoring machine regardless. Harden has been at this point knows where he's at in his career, not the same player as he used to be. Reggie Jackson, thought it was still another underrated player. Kendrick, I forgot about Kendrick Perkins. I forgot he actually played in the league. That's interesting. Serge Ibaka. Actually, what is Ibaka up to now? He's a first. I would disagree to one extent to the fact that number one. I mean, I've watched a couple of Thunder games out of mark somehow through Tofu Sports, which is a great app to use to watch out of market games. You'd be surprised. Like the Thunder games happened. But yeah, and actually, I've seen some sold out games. But it's just, I don't know, man. So the last team we played for was the Bucks. Huh. Okay. League Pass is pretty good too. But I use mostly Tofu Sports because let's be real. There's some streaming service, but but like I said, even with Amazon Prime too. Like I said, I'm going to do more WNBA coverage. And that's the thing. This is one of the other things too that drives me crazy with these quote unquote casual basketball fans. No disrespect to you, RQ and Daniel. The people that say, "Oh, we want to see more," and this is where actually, me and Tyler talked about this too. I think one occasion, where we've kind of given our grievances, where some people look. The one argument I've seen people say, the craziest thing that I've seen, how where people discredit or really kind of look down on the NBA. Yes, granted, it's a subsidized league, what have you. Put that aside. But the fact that I've actually been, and I will admit, I have gotten some heated debates. The fact that people said the house like the league should have been folded after 25 years. First of all, these leagues have to make a living for one. Number one, like this is where I would say the common sense that I would say is like I'm tired of the sexism. I really do. Now, granted, I know people are not going to like what I have to say, but I'm going to say it. I mean, me and Tyler said it best. Like most of these quote unquote casual basketball fans are sexist as hell. Like, how do you not want to see women not succeed, and doing what they love? So you want to say, I don't know, man. It's like people need to nowadays just have to really understand of how I see things. I don't know, man, but it's just I just really hate how people want to downplay women in professional sports. It's just for me, like it really annoys me to want and I like Thunder fans. I really do like the Thunder fan base. I mean, but I mean, look, as much as I want to hate on the Lakers, which most of us NBA fans do because they're pretty much a retirement home. But I would say this too, though, and this is where I think the Thunder, where I do like their future. They got some high scoring. They got a high scoring offense with some of these playmakers. Like I said, SGA, Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, J Dub. They got these pieces though. Don't be surprised. And this is why I think over time, I think people have to take in consideration of how good this, how bright this future is for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And, and I think they're very entertaining. Let's be real. It's very entertaining than my goddamn Philadelphia 76ers. And I will admit it. And like I said, I will admit it that I think none of us can. But like I said, though, man, it's been, I would say, for crazy enough as it sounds. And, but yeah. But then we, earlier, but, and I don't know if you saw, Instagram that Chet Henny did retire as a Super Bowl champ. So, like I said, in the end, it's crazy though how the football season has come and gone, through 18 weeks plus the playoffs and the Super Bowl and whatnot, and then we got this long ass layoff till September. But then again, if you're a spring football head, kind of like myself a little bit, I will, yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, RQ. We are cursed. There's no buts about it. We have not seen, we have not seen any consistency in cities like Boston or Chicago. Now, Chicago's been kind of been in the, how do I even describe that? Because, it's just, like I said, and I've been to Philly many times. Now, granted, I mean, people said, people really don't care about the city. It depends on where you go. In terms, just, it's just for me, they are. And that's the thing, too. People still never going to get like this. Exactly what this is pretty much going back to what I said earlier. No matter if the Phillies have success, the Eagles have success, for the love of God, if the Sixers even have success at all, nor the Flyers, people still always find a way to discredit us. Well, what's good, normal guy? What's good? What's going on, my guy? But like I said, we've done so much. I get that. I really do. But you have to, like, Arco, you have to take this into consideration. Trying to look into the way that we see it for being a long time Philly sports fans for years. Think about it. I mean, I've seen a World Series championship in my lifetime in 2008, even though I was a lot younger. But regardless, I still saw a World Series championship in 2008. Never got the chance to see an NBA championship, nor a Stanley Cup till what could have been in 2010. However, if we didn't somehow fuck up against the goddamn Chicago Blackhawks, and going back to what I said earlier about the Flyers and the Black, since after 2010, after that blown 3-1 lead against the Chicago Blackhawks, the Flyers have not been the same. And yeah, and the Mavs, and let's be real, that Mavs team had really. So you ain't wrong, Chris. Like I said, I even told my girlfriend this too, though, man. It's been, yeah, that defense in the second, and like I said, this goes back to Jonathan Gannon. Gannon will never adjust in the second half. Because for some reason, this is the ironic part. Because every time, if you looked at the look, I know regular season may not mean much to people nowadays, especially with the postseason kind of wrapped up. But every time we play even play okay in the first half, or play really well in the first half, and then somehow not play really good, it's but yeah, man, it's been tough, man. But I mean, look, I'm willing to swallow the pride. Honestly, yeah, everyone was terrible. The defense, Miles Sanders, definitely the coaching. I mean, there's a lot of blame to go around. That's all I'm going to say. But like I said, to be quite honest, and this thing too, like 49ers fans need to, and look, I mean, and this is why I think we might let Sanders walk, because I think Gainwell might be our next running back one. You have Scott could be your number two, but oh yeah, trust me, I feel bad more for Gooley, because Gooley, he knows where his team stand. He knows where the Bears are at, because let's be real, without the Bears are fucking nothing until the McCaskies are out of there. But then again, when I've worked a lot with Gooley over some time, though, it's just the Bulls. The Bulls and I want that too, but just a lot of like 49ers and some of these just West Coast based fans. I would say, no disrespect to you, Arku. Then again, are you West Coast or is it Midwest? Oh, Midwest. I'm a complete fucking moron. I'm sorry, my brain's been kind of exactly. And then the defense decides to go all and fuck it up. I agree. You ain't wrong. Southwest. I don't know why I think Midwest. What? Sorry about that. God, people. And this is the thing too. I think West Coast fans sometimes are just very obnoxious. Yes, I mean, what fan base isn't? But I think when you live in the West Coast, if you're like a Giants, not the New York Giants, but the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors, the Niners, Chargers, Raiders. Well, actually, I won't go that far. Well, I mean, the Raiders do have some obnoxious fans, but I won't do some of my Raider Nation dirty, because I'm very good friends with a lot of Raiders content creators, so I won't really go do them dirty. But I think they have some obnoxious, just a very obnoxious. Chiefs fans are. No, wait. I think that's right. Chiefs are in the Midwest. I'm a freaking moron. Like, sometimes I gotta restart studying in math because my brain's not processing right. But it's like people just really just need to keep their mouth shut sometimes. Especially if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, you have no room to fucking talk. Oh yeah, yeah, Eric, yes, because I've seen when we used to be when he and I and me and the other side, I still work, or I'll work with from time to time. We're in the old Spotlight Sports Network. It's like the best moment that I remember from Eric, when the Lakers played the Spurs. If you go look at the Best of Spotlight Sports Network video, I think it's still up. Just him Gronk spiking his hat after the which is great. And that's the thing too. Like, people need to like I've seen some worse schedules, and you're like I said, I've never played the game of football. I've been a ward sport athlete for most of my entire life. Yeah, you ain't wrong as a normal guy, but like I said, it's just it's been tough. It's been tough taking this, but I mean, shit. I think this kid not can go down worse. Then again, though, this is the second time that we've lost a Super Bowl by 3 points. Then again, now I think about it, yeah, it's been now it's crazy. Now just thinking about it, we lost 38-35. I think what was the final score in 2004? But we did lose by 3 points in 2004 to the New England Patriots. So it's like it comes around. Now it's like what goes around comes around. Yeah, and like I said, and going back to your point, Arku, this is the reason why I don't do Sixers games, because I know when the Sixers are going to somehow going to find a way to fuck it up, especially they got to, since technically today is Monday, they gotta play the Houston Rockets, and like I said, if I'm yeah, I heard Zion did reactivate his training, but like I said, it's just if somehow the Sixers somehow lose to the Houston Rockets, laugh at us. Like I would not care. And the fact that the Sixers and Flyers suck. First of all, that's like have you been living? Oh yeah, the Rockets are bad. Like, but yeah, so but like I said, I'm going to definitely do I guess like a lunchtime stream. Because I got nothing else to do outside of tomorrow. The only thing I'm going to be doing, what we have planned up, is Monday Night Raw. So me, Tyler, and Jeff will be holding down for Earl. Shout out to Earl that was in the chat earlier. He's going to be at the Go Home show in Brooklyn. But like I said, I'll probably do like a more like it really isn't like like and that's a good point too. Like I was going to make some differences with the Thunder and the Rockets. With the Thunder, like when they lose, it's very close after like a high scoring offense or wherever the case may be. I've seen some losses where like or it comes down, it's like 2-3 points, wherever the case may be. It's been where at least the Thunder actually make it entertaining, whereas the Rockets just they got no sense of direction. I'm sorry, Dante, but my buddy Dante, I know that I know you love the Houston Rockets, but your Rockets do not have no direction whatsoever. Because it's like it's really hard to say where. I don't know, man. But yeah, but I don't know, man. Well, at the end of the day, he's already a free agent as it is. I think this was his last year of his contract. Either way, I mean, it's. I think at times Miles Sanders did run his course, and knowing that Kenny Gainwell is probably going to be the future. But I know I do have faith in Howie to really somehow keep this team intact and try to get some better coaching staff, because I know offensively, if Brian Johnson is going to be the guy, I think I think him and Hurts have to work something. I don't want to say works really something out, but kind of, I think Johnson and Sirianni have to come up with a better game plan. And that's the thing too. There's going to be a lot of changes in the NFL, not just from the Cowboys' perspective, not just from us, not just from Washington, but all 32 NFL teams. Because this all season for the NFL is going to be interesting as hell. Oh my god! But yeah, and but with that being said, and I agree, I agree, Arku. Look, as much as I hate the Cowboys worth a damn, but I will say this too: I don't know how Cowboys fans still put up with Jerry and Steven. But outside of that, though, I got nothing else to add other than the fact, kind of just chat it up a little bit. Like I said, I'll probably be back again with another one. Just in terms, might do like a little bit, I guess, like a lunchtime talk or something like that, or whatever the case may be. Like I said, I'll probably do more, probably like do another chill stream or something like this. And just kind of just talk some stuff. It's just been, it's going to be a tough night. I would say, because the Sixers, please, for the love of God, please do not shit the bed against the Rockets because, like I said, I'm on a very thin line with the Sixers. Whenever because holy crap, I really want Doc Rivers to get out of here. But then again, though, it's really not hard. It's going to be hard to do. And the question is, who's going to really lead this team? I do not know because, as much as I hate Doc Rivers, I hated Brett Brown for 7 years. It's just been, I would say, it's been a tough road as a Sixers fan. I really do. But we'll see how this goes. And, yeah, so with that being said, appreciate who kind of stopped by. Let me get some comments really quick. It's like nothing changes. And that's the thing. And look, I'm not trying to compare myself to or my sports teams to the Cowboys, but in a way that our ownership doesn't, and we know that Josh Harris or I think Michael Rubin did. So the fact we have Josh Harris as an owner is ridiculous because the Sixers, like I said, they never cease to. I'm not going to really. Every time the Sixers lose, I'm not really upset, which is like kind of the ironic part. Because I know, like, if they lose, they lose. They are just they're just a mediocre franchise. I'm going to say, I'm going to say it too. But yeah, with that being said, though, I'm going to hop out of here and appreciate everyone who kind of hung around. Shout out to some new subscribers as well. But like I said, I'll be back at it again tomorrow, probably some early afternoon, and kind of just chat it up a little bit because I kind of find this really soothing and very entertaining. But outside of that, have a good night, everybody.